Now, even if you're brand new to the world of Formula One, it wouldn't take long for you to realise that two teams currently on the grid look very familiar with one another. Red Bull are in the unique position of owning two teams on the grid, and with competition heating up, their rivals aren't happy about it. What is AlphaTauri? From 1985 to 2005, the Minardi team was part of the Formula One grid, but they were just never competitive. In their 2 decades of running, they never once scored a podium, and although they were a fan favourite, as F1 became more expensive to compete in, the team's owner, Paul Stoddart, found himself unable to keep up. Hoping for a swift exit, Stoddart agreed to sell his remaining shares to an Austrian businessman by the name of Dietrich Mateschitz. As many of you will know, up until his death in 2022, Mateschitz was the co-founder and the head of the Red Bull brand, and in the early 2000s, he wanted to add Formula One to the company's lengthy list of sporting ventures. They had already acquired the Jaguar team based in Milton Keynes, paving the way for the Red Bull team to join, but the Minardi team offered another possibility, owning 2 constructors. Mateschitz agreed to purchase the team and its base in Faenza, Italy, before rebranding it as Toro Rosso, the Red Bull name in Italian. The team's purpose was to operate as a junior operation for Red Bull, allowing them to blood young drivers before they got anywhere near the Red Bull seat, and boy did it work. Sebastian Vettel was the first star off the Toro Rosso conveyor belt, but later down the line, Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen, Pierre Gasly and Alex Albon would all race for Toro Rosso before making the step up to the Red Bull senior team. But how was this obvious advantage legal? How Red Bull did it? Now, under the FIA's regulations, a constructor cannot enter more than 2 cars into a race, which meant some clever organisation was needed from Red Bull. Officially, Toro Rosso was an independent team from Red Bull. Working out of Faenza, not far from the Imola circuit, they were registered as an Italian team, but FIA rules did allow some cooperation between the 2 parties. Given the expense and expertise needed to build an F1 car, the FIA has allowed teams to lower the cost of development by purchasing parts from another constructor. These parts are defined as listed and non-listed. For listed parts, they must be designed and manufactured by the teams themselves, while non-listed parts need not be. Therefore, the smaller teams on the grid will buy things from the bigger ones in order for them to compete, and Toro Rosso are not the only ones to do this. Haas purchased the majority of their car and engine from Ferrari and even worked next door in Maranello. It's then perhaps easier to think of Red Bull and Toro Rosso in the same way, and when it comes to drivers, Haas have also used some young Ferrari talent such as Charles Leclerc. So even though both were Red Bull brands and even used the same hospitality section in the F1 paddock, the Red Bull and Toro Rosso split was legal by the FIA standards. 2020 sees a change. This relationship proved to be incredibly beneficial for both parties. A team the size of Toro Rosso would get access to some future world champions, while Red Bull could ensure that they had the finished product by the time they arrived in the seat. But in 2020, they decided to change things. With prize money increasing to eye-watering amounts, the bosses at Red Bull decided they wanted Toro Rosso to be more competitive. To put it into context, before the 2020 season, Toro Rosso had finished as high as 6th in the standings. Red Bull rebranded the team to AlphaTauri to promote their clothing line, but also stopped using so many parts from the Red Bull operation. The problem was, this set them on a collision course for disaster. While 2020 and 2021 were by no means bad seasons, the team finished 7th and 6th with Pierre Gasly and Danny Kvyat, and later Yuki Tsunoda at the helm. It was the regulation changes in 2022 that proved to be AlphaTauri's downfall. As we all know, Red Bull excelled and would soon have one of the most dominant cars in F1 history, but AlphaTauri went in the other direction, finishing 2022 in 9th and prompting Gasly to leave for pastures new at Alpine. After 2 seasons of that form, Red Bull had enough. With long-term team principal Franz Tost retiring, Red Bull announced some big changes were on the way for their sister team. Changes are coming. Red Bull senior advisor Helmut Marko was the first to let slip of the big changes coming. Marko revealed the team's name would change, but more importantly, there would be structural changes. Marko said, "We're not satisfied with AlphaTauri's current performance, nor are they themselves, but the main task is still to train our young talent so that they can take the next step. This has worked well in the past, and the current example of Yuki Tsunoda shows that it still works today, despite the still meager points haul. We hope that AlphaTauri can improve this year and for the future. The plan is to expand the collaboration with Red Bull Racing within the permitted limits of the regulations so that more resources can be used efficiently. For this, it is planned that parts of the team will go to England. Horner also spoke of his role in recruiting the likes of Peter Bayer and Lauren Mekies to become part of the team. The team boss said, "We will have a closer working relationship. I was asked to identify a couple of candidates to get involved and create a new management team at AlphaTauri. The two guys that I felt were right for the role were Peter and Laurent. I think they'll make a strong team. I think that the relationship, within the realms of what we're able to do within the regulations, will become closer. There are aspects of the car that AlphaTauri haven't taken advantage of under what's permitted under the supply rules previously. So I can only see the relationship between the two teams becoming ever closer. It's this that has other teams worried." Teams raise concern. The most interesting part of what Marco said was the suggestion that AlphaTauri may move some of their operation to England. As for now, this had been off the table. While they shall keep their Faenza base, it's understood that AlphaTauri will now use some facilities close to Red Bull's base in Milton Keynes. Of course, this is a situation similar to Haas, but that's closely policed, and the idea of two constructors from the same company being that close to each other has other teams worried. The cause behind that concern is that in theory, it would be advantageous to have two teams splitting research and development between them in order to stay under the cost cap. The regulations outlaw the transfer of data, designs, drawings, or any other intellectual property, the receipt of information, consultancy, or any other kind of services from another competitor, or the sharing of any methodologies, but that could be hard to police from teams within the same organization. Therefore, it's rumored that the teams are putting pressure on the FIA to ensure it remains above board. What are the FIA doing? As for the FIA's view, they're seemingly confident that nothing untoward is going on. Head of single-seaters, Nicholas Tombazzi, said, "Teams decide to spend their money in different ways. Sometimes teams carry out modifications to the floor, which are more local, and therefore don't involve throwing everything away. We haven't seen anything in AlphaTauri that's concerning us." But the FIA chief did also raise the point that AlphaTauri are not the only ones doing it. He said, "We believe that AlphaTauri specifically does have quite different aerodynamic solutions to the other company." He added, "And we don't think there's any sign of any direct collaboration. Clearly, they're working hard and have made a step forward this year. I don't think it can be said it's due to collaboration. That said, collaboration, or making sure that no such thing happens, is one of the tricky parts of our policing team. We're not underestimating the challenge, it's one of the difficulties we have." So that's the state of play on things right now. But if the new AlphaTauri hits the track running in 2024, you can be sure teams will demand the FIA looks to make sure no rules are being broken. So let us know in the comments what you think of the Red Bull AlphaTauri operation and whether relationships like this should be outlawed in F1. In the meantime, hit like on the video and be sure to subscribe so you never miss a release here on the DRS Straight.